Our forum is about to begin. Please be seated. Also, a few housekeeping announcements. Please be reminded to turn off your mobile phones or turn on the vibration mode. And also, please keep your masks on at all times unless you're coming up to the stage, and follow the organizers' COVID-19 protocols. Thank you. Our forum is about to begin. Thank you very much for coming to this forum. Our organizers, Vice Premier Shen, Mayor Ke, Deputy Director General Chen, and everyone who's watching this online, good afternoon. I'm US TV anchor Jasmine Tsai, and I'll be your MC today. Thank you for attending the Carbon Neutrality and New Economic Impetus Forum, co-organized by US TV and the Taiwan Smart City Solutions Alliance, TSSA. The EU has pledged to reach carbon neutrality by 2050 in the first phase, which will begin in 2023. And last for 3 years. The carbon emissions associated with imported products such as steel, aluminium, and cement will have to be reported once the EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism becomes fully operational in 2026. Importers will have to purchase certificates to pay for the emissions of the imported products. Is Taiwan ready for the change? According to a survey, 57.1% of Taiwanese businesses have not started to work on a plan to reduce emissions, and as high as about 80% of businesses also said that they did not know how to calculate their carbon footprints. For Taiwanese businesses, net zero emissions is no longer about becoming more competitive, but about survival. President Tsai Ying-Wen has also announced that Taiwan will pursue the net zero goal by 2050 and that the government will unveil its goals. She said the government will help businesses enhance their ability to cut carbon emissions. In today's forum, we'll discuss what businesses should do in order to achieve net zero. Of course, today we also have a stellar lineup today. First, allow me to introduce you to the distinguished guests today. If I call your name, please wave to the audience. First of all, Mr. Shen Rongjing, Vice Premier of Executive Yuan. Next, Mr. Ke Wen-je, Mayor of Taipei. Next up, Ms. Deng Meihua, Vice President of US TV. And also one of our organizers, the chairman of Taiwan Smart City Solutions Alliance, Mr. Ke Shengfeng. And also Dr. Christine Hu, Director of US TV News. Next up, Ms. Chen Peili, Deputy Director General of the Industrial Development Bureau. Dr. Edwin Liu, President of the Industrial Technology Research Institute. Dr. Tsai Ying-Wen, Head of the Department of Environmental Sanitation and Toxic Substance Management and Office of Climate Change Environmental Protection Administration. And Mr. Lu Xinke from the Department of Information of the Taipei City Government. Mr. Li Shunqing, President and Acting Chairman of CPC. Next up, Ms. Jing Qi, President of Far Eastern Telecommunications. Ms. Zhao Shuming, General Manager of JNV Energy Technology. Mr. Lu Kefu, Senior Vice President of Taiwan Cement Corporation. And Mr. Zhang Dufan from Chilis. Thank you all for attending this forum. Of course, we have to mark this important moment, so we are going to take a group photo. If I call your name, please come up to the stage. Mr. Shen Rongjing, Vice Premier of Executive Yuan, please come up to the stage. Welcome. Mr. Ke Wen-je, Mayor of Taipei. Ms. Deng Meihua, Vice President of US TV. Mr. Ke Shengfeng, Chairman of Taiwan Smart City Solutions Alliance. Dr. Christine Hu, Director of US TV News. Ms. Chen Peili from the Industrial Development Bureau. Dr. Edwin Liu from ITRI. Dr. Tsai Ying-Wen from the Environmental Protection Administration. Mr. Lu Xinke from the Taipei City Government. And Mr. Li Shunqing, President and Acting Chairman of CPC. Ms. Jing Qi from Far Eastern Communications. Ms. Zhao Shuming from JNV Energy Technology. And also Mr. Zhang Daofan from Chilis. Let's give them a round of applause to welcome all our distinguished guests.
现在就请我们各位贵宾看着前方。
Now please look at the cameras in front of you. 3, 2, 1. And then another photo. Please look at the cameras in front.
好，再来，我们请各位贵宾。
And now, please look at the cameras at the back so that they can also capture a very good picture.
2、1。接下来，我们要请各位贵宾们。
And now, please take off your masks and give us your most radiant smile. Please look at the cameras in front. Let's capture this wonderful moment.
2、1。今天帅哥美女齐聚一堂，让我们。
Let's take a few more photos to mark this moment.
好，我们再来。
Now, one more. Please give us a thumbs up.
看着前方的摄影机。好，中间的摄影。
Now, please look at the cameras in the middle.
好，再来，我们再请贵。
Now, please look at the cameras at the back. Let's take one more photo.
3、
3, 2, 1.
现在呢，我们就要进行录影的环节，麻烦请。
Okay, Please look at the camera to your left. Smile.
非常感谢。
Thank you very much. Now, please be seated. We're going to proceed to our forum.
英文总统表示，
President Tsai Ing-Wen has said that the net zero goal of 2050 is going to be a difficult path for all of us, but we have to work together. In order to overcome the challenges, we have to work together. The government, the private sector, and also the academia, the three sides have to work together, and this will be key to our success to achieve net zero. First up, let's welcome Dr. Christine Hu from US TV News to say a few words to open today's forum. Vice Premier Shen, Mayor Ke, Deputy Director General Chen, President Liu, Chairman Ke, all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Carbon Neutrality and New Economic Impetus Forum. This is a very important forum. I want to welcome you to this event. This is co-hosted by US TV and the Taiwan Smart City Solutions Alliance. We're going to talk about very important future trends. First of all, what is carbon neutrality? A lot of you probably do not yet know what that means. Basically, it means that when a country, a company, a product, an activity, or an individual generates CO2 emissions, whether you generate the emissions directly or indirectly, what do you have to do? You have to offset the emissions by actions such as planting trees or generating green energy. So when the CO2 emissions are eliminated, there will be zero emissions, and this state is called carbon neutrality. The world has already set a goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2050. And Taiwan also joined the ranks of 197 countries to pledge net zero. Last year, President Tsai Ing-Wen also pledged that Taiwan will achieve net zero. And people have been saying, no ESG, no business, and no ESG, no money. These are not just empty slogans. We really have to face up to the issue that we are facing. We have to think about how to implement net zero. If companies do not take ESG seriously and cut carbon emissions, they will find it difficult to access funding from banks, and they will also risk losing orders from international clients. So what we need to do right now is to think about how the government and the private sector can come up with a comprehensive roadmap to achieve net zero in 2050. We need to have very comprehensive plans. US TV is the first financial news channel in Taiwan. Over the last 27 years, we've been growing with the Taiwanese economy and working with businesses. And we'll continue to cooperate with all sides to usher in the historical moment of net zero in 2050. In today's forum, we are joined by government officials and also top businesses across Taiwan, and we'll be discussing what Taiwan has done as it embarked on the journey to cut carbon emissions. We'll also talk about the challenges along the way and what more has to be done. The whole world is now working towards the goal of achieving carbon neutrality. Taiwan needs to step up to bring itself in line with international trends. In today's forum, we'll also highlight the vast business opportunities brought by carbon neutrality and green energy in the next 10 years. And I hope that you will learn a lot from today's forum, whether you are from the government, the businesses, or other sectors. We'll learn more about carbon neutrality and also discuss what we have to do in the future. Thank you, Dr. Hu. Please be seated. Dr. Hu said that the government and the private sector have to work together in order to achieve carbon neutrality. US TV will continue to bring you the latest news. Next, please welcome Mr. Ke Shengfeng, Chairman of the Taiwan Smart City Solutions Alliance.
Vice Premier Shen, Mayor Ke, Deputy Director General Chen, Ms. Tsai from the EPA, Mr. Edwin Liu from ITRI, Dr. Hu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm the chair of the TSSA. My name is Ke Shenfeng. I'm very pleased to meet all of you today at today's event. Well, the 9th Smart City Summit and Expo was officially launched today. It was initiated in 2016 by the Taipei government and more than 100 countries, 288 cities, and 323 guests have joined this event. And more than 190 mayors or vice mayors have participated in this event. So thanks to the effort of the Taipei city government, this event has entered international arena, and it is an important platform for diplomatic works. So on behalf of the Taipei Computer Association and on behalf of the Taipei city government, I think this is a very important event to increase Taiwan's international presence. During this year's expo, there are two major themes. Now we're in the post-pandemic world. Individuals, corporates, and governments should leverage technologies to do our work when people should remain social distance, and how do we launch digital transformation will be key. And the second issue will be green transformation. Well, since the last COP meeting last year, globally, countries have been working on green transformation, and this was also an initiative proposed by the Premier of Taiwan. So all government agencies have launched initiatives, and the message is also well received by the corporate world in Taiwan. Taiwanese businesses are also joining this international initiative. So carbon reduction and energy efficiency has become an important issue to Taiwan's business world. In response to this trend, we have invited business representatives to share with all of you how they have been reducing their carbon emissions to meet the goal of carbon neutrality. So today I'm very happy to work with the US TV to organize this event. So hopefully we will not only inspire businesses in Taiwan, we can engage all the supply chains to contribute to Taiwan's carbon neutrality goal and to contribute to the planet's sustainability. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ke. Yes, as Mr. Ke said, in this post-pandemic world, we need to work on digital transformation as well as green transformation to reduce carbon emissions. Now we would like to welcome Vice Premier Shen of the Executive Yuan of Taiwan. Vice President Deng of the US TV, Dr. Hu, Mr. Ke, Chair of the TSSA, Mayor Ke of Taipei, Mr. Edwin Liu from ITRI, Ms. Chen from the IDB, Dr. Tsai from the EPA, dear guests, dear audience on site and online, dear friends who care about carbon reduction issues, good afternoon. I'm very happy to be invited to today's forum. This forum is about carbon neutrality, which has been a focus of President Tsai's administration. We have been promoting energy transformation, which serves as a foundation for Taiwan's carbon neutrality efforts. Actually, in 2016, we started to promote PV and offshore wind as an important part of our green energy and energy transformation initiative. So we have achieved some success during this phase, and the success will become a solid foundation for our carbon neutrality goals. Actually, installed capacity has been increasing year by year. By the end of 2021, we have achieved 11.56 gigawatt. That is 144% more than the capacity in 2016, which was 4.73 gigawatt. Starting from 2021, we pledged to work towards the carbon neutrality goal by 2050. And at the cabinet, we have made specific goals for this pathway. This carbon neutrality goal is not just a hope, it will become a key to business success. Actually, it determines your international competitiveness as a business in advanced countries, including those in the EU, in the US, Canada, Japan. The governments all want to help their businesses by implementing carbon border adjustments, such as carbon border tax, and international corporations such as Apple, Google, Facebook have joined the RE100 initiative, asking their supply chains to meet certain standards, such as using green energies. So this will become Taiwan's passport to the international markets. So businesses have to change their mindsets. So people have been putting more focus on issues other than financial index. And consumers are also urging businesses to transform toward net zero. And this will directly impact businesses' funding, orders, and markets. So we really have to change traditional business models to transform toward a green economy. For example, like our guests in the audience, they have been using international technologies to transform their wafer fabrication, to transform their cement factories and steel factories, to reuse waste, to turn waste into resources, to replace old cement materials so that they work on a circular economy basis. And the government will fully support the corporate world to move toward net zero. Actually, in 2020, we established a green energy trading platform and issued certificates more than 1.15 kilowatt hours, 1.15 billion kilowatt hours of certificate. And many businesses, such as Nanya, Taiwan, and many corporates in the financial sector, such as Yuanta, has been making use of this platform. And many Taiwanese businesses are playing the role as a coordinator to coordinate their supply chain in this effort. For example, the CPC has established a pilot system to produce methane. And by the end of April, they will finish the first phase, and by the end of the year, they are going to complete their carbon capture work. And the CSC has a project of steel and chemical co-production so that their byproducts can become a basis for CO and CO2 extraction. And these materials will be used by the CPC to produce chemicals such as methane. And they are going to achieve 5,000 tons of production. So these initiatives will become a foundation for SMEs to move towards net zero, and we will also guide Taiwanese businesses to increase their capacity of GHG emission inspection. And actually, the MIRDC will be certified by the third quarter this year to offer inspection and audit services so that our businesses can have more options when it comes to validation. What's more important, there's going to be a team of corporate services. It is going to provide a toolkit for businesses to evaluate their emissions, and there will be online tutorials for businesses so that they can disclose their carbon emissions. Now, I think when it comes to net zero, it involves more than the energy sector. What's more, the business world, the industrial industries, or the service models need to innovate themselves. And I think this trend will lead to a vibrant market and multiple business opportunities. So I think the public and the private sectors have to think about how we can combine green energies and net zero transformation together so that Taiwanese business can shine in the international markets. In the end, I would like to wish all of you health and prosperity, and I wish this forum all success. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Premier Shen. Please be seated. Yes, President Tsai Ying-Wen said that large corporations should lead SMEs along this journey toward carbon neutrality. Now we would like to welcome Mayor Ke of Taipei. Vice Premier Shen. Vice Premier Shen, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In 1992, the United Nations passed the COP conventions, and also later Paris agreements was passed. So this is an important issue, and also the IPCC has been advocating that by 2050, the world must reach carbon neutral so that we can keep temperature rise to below 1.5 degrees Celsius. So Taiwan has been talking about this carbon neutrality target by 2050 in line with international norms. Actually, there are more than 130 countries and more than 1,045 cities that have pledged to reach net zero, and that accounts for more than 85% of the total population of the world and 90% of the world's GDP. Well, Taiwan may be small, but we have to do business with the rest of the world. And in the EU, in the US, they have made regulations about carbon neutrality, and they have introduced carbon taxes. So we really have to do something in response. So carbon neutrality by 2050 is more than an environmental issue. It actually is an economic issue. It has impact on the economy, on the society as a whole. That is why everyone is a stakeholder. So Taipei is also a part of the global village. So last year, on the 22nd of April, we announced in the city government's meeting that we are also working towards this goal. So last year, the COP26 meeting was organized, and we knew that this was going to happen. So since then, Taipei has announced that we are going to work towards this goal at the city government level. So what can we do as a city? First is to support businesses and also transportation and then waste management. The first one is residential buildings and business buildings. So for many years, we have been thinking about this issue. So you know which one is the first building that celebrates the idea of circularity. It's the social residence units near the Nangang train station. And there are 1,400 units, and it is the first in Taipei. It boasts the idea of, it was built by Continental Engineering. So many years ago, Nangang Export was Taipei's first building that celebrates this idea of circularity. And all social residential units must meet green standards and receive smart building certificates. So over the past few years, we require such buildings to meet net zero standards. And also we have a regulation on net zero emissions in Taipei. And there are several environmental friendly initiatives, such as a ban on disposable cutlery and utensils. However, when people visit small eateries, they tend to use disposable cutlery. That is why we really need to introduce regulations to discourage people from doing this. So it was passed by the City Council and was launched 6 months after the initiative was first raised. So our strategy is a top-down strategy starting from the public sector. So all public buildings must meet green standards such as carbon reduction certificates or green building certificates. So this project has been implemented in the public sector for a while before they reach the private sector. So building is one focus. When it comes to energy efficiency in buildings, I think it's a priority for a city if it wishes to reach net zero. And we have been reviewing what we have been doing over the past 30 years. We have been looking at the Taipei Metro. What is the biggest mistake is that it was based on a TOD model. That is to say, the urban planning was based on transportation. So people have been asking me about the issues in Neihu, and I think it is an urban planning issue because population in Neihu has increased so much, but the transportation infrastructure could not catch up. So this is an issue that has been around for more than 20 years. It cannot be solved in one day. We have been working hard trying to prevent the traffic in Neihu from deteriorating. So what is the root solution? I think it is still boils down to the urban planning of Taipei. So I think the key is that when we made urban planning in the past, we did not look at the metro. We did not look at the transportation. Actually, the urban planning should be based on the network of metro. And how about the future 20 years? We have more than 200 primary and secondary schools, and the buildings need to be renovated within the next 20 years. So after the 1960s, the schools in Taipei were expanding. So there are a lot of school buildings now, and they will need to be renovated. So there are 236 primary and secondary schools in Taipei. They will have to be renovated, but at the same time, people are giving birth to fewer children. So there will be vacant buildings. So we will consider the surrounding communities. They might need babysitting services, nurseries. So in our future urban planning, we need to focus on transportation networks. We need to look at the school renovation projects. And we have to look at the foot traffic flows within communities. So back to the traffic problems in Neihu, there are so many people commuting to and from Neihu every day. So when we are working on our current urban planning projects, there are going to be 3,000 units of social housing in Nangang. Well, of course, you need to meet different criteria if you want to apply for social housing in Taipei. So for these social housing units in Nangang, well, you will be given priority if you work nearby. So in our future planning, we look at schools, we look at transportation to shorten people commuting distance. And also the plan will be community-based. In addition to transportation issues, we have launched a new initiative that is we no longer buy new fuel buses. We are going to purchase e-buses and replace the old ones with e-buses. So now only e-buses are allowed. If a petrol bus is going to be purchased, it will need to be authorized by the mayor. So there are all sorts of new plans and programs, including the use of EVs, including the establishments of charging stations and e-scooters. as well as subsidies for e-scooters. We want to make the program a long-term project. We don't want the regulations to change every year. It would be really difficult for business operators to cope. So the 2050 net zero initiatives involves more than technological issues. It is going to impact people's lifestyle. For example, there is more than 170 tons of kitchen waste every day in Taipei. Well, because there is a lot of leftover from people's meals. That is also an issue that has to be tackled. So the 2050 net zero initiatives is going to restructure people's life. For example, people will need to reduce the amount of waste, to reduce kitchen waste, to avoid using disposable cutlets. Well, I think the pandemic is going to end by the end of the year. However, there is going to be some outbreaks before it officially ends. And we will have to deal with that. But after the pandemic goes away, we still need to meet the challenge of extreme weathers for the next decades. There are lots to be done, so let's work hard together. Thank you.
来到我们今天
Thank you, Mayor Ke. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Now, Mayor Ke will have to leave right now because of prior engagements. We also want to thank Vice Premier Shen Rongjing for giving us the opening remarks. Next, please welcome Dr. Edwin Liu, President of ITRI.
到这第一点，好，这样可以。我们非凡的总监
Dr. Hu from US TV News, Mr. Ke from TSSA, and also ladies and gentlemen in the auditorium, dear audience members who are joining us online, good afternoon. I'm very happy to be able to attend today's forum. This is hosted by US TV and TSSA. Climate change is, of course, a very important issue. In 2015, the Paris Agreement was signed, and in 2018, the IPCC actually made a calculation saying that by 2050, we have to achieve net zero emissions in order to keep temperature rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And in COP26 last year, a pathway to net zero emissions was charted. In COP26, I think there were a number of very important requirements. For example, the NDC, the nationally designated carbon emission goals, have to be reviewed every year, and also there should be more effort for electrification of transportation, and also coal-fired power plants have to be phased out. The fourth very important requirement is that the whole world has to work together and also establish a carbon trading market. And the European Union's CBAM is one of these initiatives. So I think these four areas are extremely important. Net zero by 2050 and carbon neutrality by 2050, I think every one of us has to work together, has to work hard. I'm very happy that US TV is hosting this forum, and the agenda divides the issues faced by businesses to two categories. The first one is how businesses cut carbon emissions. This is one of the aspects that we have to talk about. Another aspect is that Within this framework of carbon neutrality, how should businesses transform themselves? So today's forum will focus on these two issues, and I think this is very important for businesses in Taiwan. My institute, ITRI, set up a cross-institute office in April last year. And our goal is to gather all the experts within our institute to try to achieve carbon neutrality. Different sectors definitely have to work together in order to achieve net zero emissions. So we will present our strategies and also come up with new technologies to try to cut carbon emissions to zero. And there are 4 areas we are working on. The first one is the supply side. The second one is the demand side. The third one is manufacturing. And the fourth one is the environment. So we are working on these 4 areas. The first one, the supply side. We want to achieve net zero or low carbon energy. So this includes hydrogen energy and also renewable energy. In terms of the demand side, we have to enhance efficiency, energy efficiency. We also have to change our lifestyle in order to try to minimize the carbon emissions that we generate. And in terms of manufacturing, we are working with CSC, CPC, and also Taiwan Cement Corporation. We are working with these industries. So from A to Z, we are working from end to end in order to tackle their carbon emissions. So from their raw materials to the end to a carbon capture, we are working on every link. And the fourth aspect that we are working on is the environment. That means that once we've worked on the previous 3 fields, there are still carbon emissions. So how are we going to neutralize the carbon emissions? We have to use carbon capture, utilization, and storage technology, which is the CCUS technology. And let me put in a plug for a conference next month. We're going to organize a seminar on the 12th of April, which is next month. We'll showcase our net zero emission technology. So basically, we are going to show you the research results of our technologies to reduce carbon emissions. And we'll also talk about what other technologies that we need in the near future. I hope that you will be able to join us in next month's meeting. And if you're interested, please sign up for the seminar. Once again, I'm very happy to be able to come to this forum. I wish this forum a great success, and I also hope that this will be an inspiring forum to all of you. Thank you, President Liu. Next, please join me in welcoming Ms. Chen Pei Li from the Industrial Development Bureau. Dr. Hu from US TV, Mr. Ke from TSSA, Dr. Tsai from EPA. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very honored to attend today's forum on behalf of the Industrial Development Bureau, IDB. So, according to the EPA's database, in 2019, the manufacturing industry, if we look at the carbon emissions, 60% come from the consumption of energy, and about 14% of the carbon emissions come from the manufacturing process. So, for example, in the semiconductor industry, they also emit certain harmful gases. We want to achieve net zero by 2050, so we have to tackle the energy side and also the industry side. We have to work on both sides in order to achieve net zero. So in our bureau, we have come up with a so-called 2x2 framework. We'll tackle energy and also the industry side. We have to first lower carbon emissions and then we can achieve net zero. A lot of technologies are being researched and are also only in the pilot phase. So I think in the current phase, we have to use the already mature technologies, but at the same time, we also have to work on new technologies in order to achieve net zero emissions. And in terms of carbon emissions, we have already been working with industry associations, especially high polluting industries such as the petrochemical industry and also the glass industry and the textile industry. We have 7 task forces. We are looking at leading businesses around the world and use them as a benchmark. Now, of course, every industry is different, so every industry has to have their own strategies to cut carbon emissions. Now, what we hope to do is that we hope state-run companies will lead the effort. So, for example, CSC and CPC have to work on green energy and also green manufacturing process. And we also hope that big businesses can lead the effort and encourage their partners in the supply chain to cut carbon emissions as well. Previously, in his opening remarks, the Vice Premier said that we have to form teams to help businesses cut carbon emissions. We also have to use digital tools. So we've been working on all these aspects. We understand that many businesses are still not very aware of what they have to do. So we have to work on the stock taking of carbon emissions. We also have to work on carbon emissions, but many businesses are still yet to do such work. So we need to provide training to these businesses in order to help them. This is something that all of us have to do. President Tsai Ying-Wen has already said that net zero is a global goal, and of course, it's also a goal for Taiwan. So we have to really step up and work together. If you need any assistance, please contact us. Lastly, I wish this forum a great success, and I hope all of you can learn a lot from today's forum. Thank you, Ms. Chen. Next, please welcome Dr. Tsai Ling-Yi from the Department of Environmental Sanitation and Toxic Substance Management, and also the Office of Climate Change Environmental Protection Administration. Dr. Hu from US TV, Mr. Ke from the TSSA, Dr. Liu from ITRI, Ms. Chen from IDB, ladies and gentlemen, and also everyone who's watching online, good afternoon. I'm very honored to attend today's forum on behalf of the EPA. All of us know that climate change is the biggest challenge facing the world. Greenhouse gases such as CO2 is driving up global temperatures. And from the scientific data, global temperatures have risen by 1.1 degrees Celsius compared with pre-industrial level. So all of us have to tackle climate change. In Taiwan, now a lot of people may say that we only emit 0.6% of global carbon emissions. So why do we have to be so anxious? What I have to tell you is that climate change is a global issue. Major economies around the world are trying to tackle this challenge, and Taiwan is a key partner in the global supply chain. In 2019, the European Union came up with the Green Deal. And when President Joe Biden of the US came into office, he also pledged to work on green energy. And some countries pledge to achieve net zero by 2030, earlier than the global 2050 goal. And as a global citizen, we cannot just say that we don't want to do it. We cannot ignore this trend. So we have amended regulations, and our goal is to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. We basically amended the Greenhouse Gas Reduction and Management Act. And in the amendment, we also included carbon pricing. Other countries will look at us to see what we have done to price carbon emissions. So this is something that we have to work on, and it's a key priority for us. In terms of carbon pricing, the EPA will continue to discuss with businesses. We also encourage businesses to cut carbon emissions, and in this way, you'll be awarded carbon credits. When we put a price on carbon emissions, we can bring us in line with international standards. And we also hope to do our part in the global effort to cut carbon emissions. And this will help us enhance our competitiveness. Now, it's not easy to achieve net zero by 2050, but the government, the private sector in Taiwan have already started to working on this goal. So I think this will help us to make us more competitive. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tsai. Next, we are going to proceed to the keynote speeches today. Faced with the goal and the challenge of net zero by 2050, we have to work on a lot of issues, including energy transition. Now, please welcome our first keynote speaker, Mr. Li Shunqing, President and Acting Chairman of CPC. He will share with us CPC strategies in response to carbon reduction and energy transformation. Thank you.
Dr. Hu from the organizer, Ms. Jasmine Zeng, honorable guests, fellow speakers, dear audience, good afternoon. The CPC has been supported by all stakeholders, and this year marks our 76th anniversary, and our mission is one of our missions is ESG, and this is part of our corporate governance efforts. In the future, we all face the challenge of climate change, and we will continue to work with our stakeholders to move toward net zero. So how do we embrace that future? I think we are all aware of the issues of extreme weathers and climate change, as well as other relevant challenges. And at the CPC, we have mapped out our transformation. How do we do that? Well, I very often say something to our colleagues at the CPC. It's simple, but it's all-encompassing. It's to produce high-quality oil and reduce carbon. So what is high-quality oil? We want to optimize our production process. We are working on COTC, that is crude oil to chemicals. Crude oils were used as fuels in the past, in old days. But now we want to turn crude oils into petrochemical ingredients, which are used as ingredients in the medical industry, in other industries such as advanced industries. And then the second theme is carbon reduction. The third thing is energy efficiency. So there are a lot of programs to increase energy efficiency in our production process, and we have been working with the TSMC last year. Actually, we signed an agreement with them on the 16th of September to use carbon neutralized natural gas. And actually, we did not start last year. It started in 2020 when we produced 3 shipments. We received 3 shipments of carbon neutralized natural gas. And we are working with partners in Japan. So this will be our focus. That is to turn our crude oils into carbon neutral products. So that will be part of our carbon reduction initiative. And then through CCU and CCS, we will reduce the energy consumption in the production. And ultimately, hydrogen will be our hope in energy transformation, and we want to be a provider of hydrogen. Actually, we have SMR to produce hydrogen already, but we are combining it with CCU and CCS. So the ultimate goal is to follow the example of Japan and Australia. So we use electrolyzed seawater to produce hydrogen. Its temperature is lowered to -253 degrees Celsius to produce this new product so that by 2050, we can have a green environment. I'm sure you are all aware of these issues. Zero emissions, plastic waste. These are global catastrophic issues. And these are what we have been doing at our company. And these are also what international oil companies have been doing. And actually, at the end of last year, we implemented a charging station for Tesla. And actually, there were more than 700 charging stations for EVs, for e-scooters, and they are going to increase to more than 1,000 stations this year. Such as global companies such as Shell, BP have been doing similar things. So high-quality oil, carbon emissions, and energy efficiencies are our major themes. We want to produce high-value-added oil products. We are energy providers, we are fuel providers, and hydrogen providers. And we are going to work towards the EPA's goal for 2023. And now we are working on 24.5 megawatts of PVs, and these are going to be increased. And also, we're going to use work on more renewable energies, such as geothermal. So when it comes to our first thing, high quality oil, traditionally, oils goes through refinery before moving to our production lines for other products. And they are going to be turned into high-quality petrochemicals in the future, and we want to optimize the production process. So eventually, we would like to tap into the material industry in phases. So now we have established a platform which includes catalyst center and byproduct center to produce so many end products. And at today's Smart City Summit, I would like to talk to you about this smart town in Japan. So they want to build a town that reduces water usage, to use more green energy. There are about 2,000 units there, and each units reduce their carbon emissions, and they can share their energy generation. So we have been incorporating this idea into our petrol stations. There are 4 stations in total that make uses of PVs, and there are hydrogen fuel cells available. So in the future, when energy is generated, it could also be stored in our storage system to supply energy to our petrol stations as well as surrounding communities. And we already have 4 stations, and the 5th is going to be built in Hsinchu. And we also have charging stations available. So there are not only petrol stations, but also charging stations. And there are going to be hydrogen charging stations as well. So when it comes to energy storage, there are various technologies such as soft carbon. And we are working with Far Eastern. Actually, back in 2019 in Jiayi, there was a project that we worked on together with Far Eastern, and that was our first such project. And also, we are working on flare gas recovery to reduce carbon emissions. You can look at the chart here. We have also been developing technologies to recycle spent catalysts. And the catalyst can be recycled to produce batteries, to produce storage systems. And CCU, CCS, I have already talked about these initiatives, and there is a pilot site. The key here is to develop technologies to capture catalyst and to turn the catalyst into new chemicals, and to increase the conversion rate in the production process. And there are success stories across the globe. So there are technologies in place, but they are yet to be mature. So how do we reduce the cost in order to commercialize the technologies will be key. And also we have been working with the CSC to work on this co-production of petrochemicals and steel to produce methane and methanol. And actually, there's already a collaboration project between Australia and Japan. So clean hydrogen that is produced in Australia before shipped to Japan to meet Japan's 2015 Hydrogen Society ambition. So now Taiwan imports liquefied natural gas, and in the future we can import liquefied hydrogen as long as the temperature can be dropped to minus 253 degrees Celsius. So Japan also has this strategy to move toward a hydrogen society by 2050. So these are our energy efficiency initiatives. We are also working on a hydrogen charging station, and we have been talking with several local governments for further collaboration. And geothermal is one of our strengths. We are also working with another partner on further development. So the CPC wants to turn ourselves into a green power company. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee. In the future, this company will provide you with charging services as well as petrol products. Our next speaker is from the Far Eastern Company, Ms. Qi Jing, President of Far Eastern Telecom. Welcome. Dr. Hu from the US TV, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear audience on site and online, I'm Jing Qi. I have been listening to Mr. Lee's speech. He's such an expert. Actually, 3 years ago, we worked with the CPC on their first charging station. It only took 10 minutes to charge your vehicle, and they even came up with a creative name for their service. We can see how the CPC is a leader in the industry. And I would like to share what we have been doing at the Far Eastern Telecommunications. What is our contribution to carbon reduction as a telecommunication company?
去了是吧 ？OK， 抱歉。好，我们这个远传
Right. So at Far East Home, we have to, of course, take action to respond to the global sustainability trends. So we have already set 2 goals to reduce our carbon emissions, and these 2 goals have been certified. The first one is that we have to reduce our Scope 1 emissions, and we also have to reduce our Scope 2 emissions. We use the 2016 levels as our benchmarks. We hope to be able to cut 20.3% of Scope 1 emissions by 2030. And in terms of Scope 2 emissions, which are indirect emissions, we hope to reduce these emissions by 17.2% by 2030. So these are 2 of our SBT or science-based certified targets. So what do we have to do? Within the company, we are working very hard to cut our energy use and also enhance our energy efficiency. I'll give you more examples. And with our supply chain partners, we have also been doing other things. In addition, we are working with third parties. For example, we are working with Deloitte for them to do an audit of our sustainability risk. And in addition, we are also using AI, IoT, and also big data to come up with smart ICT solutions in order to help us achieve our goals. We are doing this not only to reduce our own carbon emissions, we are also working with partners to help them. So in fact, 71% of our energy consumption comes with our cell towers. We have to provide good coverage to our users. That's why we have a lot of cell towers. And we have more than 14,000 cell towers around Taiwan, and they account for 71% of our energy use, and 98% of our carbon emissions come from our energy consumption. So, of course, we have to look at our cell towers. And in addition, we also have server rooms and also IDC, the data centers, internet data centers. In addition, we have offices and shops, but relatively they only use a very small percentage of our total energy consumption. So we use annually about 611 million kilowatt hours. So if we use Taipei Sta'an Forest Park as a benchmark, every year, the Da'an Forest Park, which is the biggest park in Taipei, the park can absorb 394 tons of carbon a year. And every year, we use 611 million kilowatt hours of power. That means that our carbon emissions is 310,000 tons. So we have to focus on our cell towers and our server rooms and IDCs. We have to try to cut carbon emissions from these areas. And in terms of the cell tower power consumption, of course, we need cell towers. So we have to think about whether we can reduce the number of cell towers, but at the same time, we also have to think about good internet performance and good coverage for our users. So we have to use big data and AI. We have a lot of personnel who can use AI and big data technology. They look at the traffic data in order to select a better site for our cell tower. We are also working with Ericsson. Ericsson has a lot of data, and these data can help us optimize the siting of our cell towers. So basically, we hope to try to reduce the number of cell towers as much as possible, but we also have to think about the quality. So in fact, last year in September, we were ranked number 1 by OpenSignal. We, in fact, outperformed South Korea. And at the time, we had 8,000 cell towers. That's 3,000 cell towers less than our peers. So we have fewer cell towers, but we still have very good performance. And this is because we use AI and big data technology in order to optimize our network. So I mentioned that Da'an Forest Park can absorb 394 tons of carbon a year. And if we can have 3,000 less cell towers, that means that we've already reduced carbon emissions equivalent to the amount that 77 Da'an Forest Parks can absorb every year. So we have to do as much as possible. And in our daily lives, even though the carbon emissions are reduced are very little, we should still do it because every little helps. And also, we have a very good coverage network. So even if one cell tower is down, the other cell towers can still cover the shortage. But of course, some users might complain because the coverage is no longer as good. But the thing is, people are not using internet or traffic 24 hours a day. There are definitely periods where not that many people are using the internet. So during off-peak traffic hours, we also put our cell towers to the so-called sleep mode or partial sleep mode. By doing this, we can reduce the power consumption, and this will also help us cut carbon emissions by 24,000 tons. So we use software and a lot of smart technology in order to optimize the use of our cell towers and optimize our energy efficiency. So another area that we have been working on is the server rooms. At Far East Tone, we organized an AI hackathon, and our personnel used AI to analyze the use of power in our server rooms. They collected a lot of data, they analyzed the data, and they also looked at the air conditioners, outside temperatures, and all these elements. They took into account all these elements and used software to try to optimize the performance of our server rooms. And of course, we also have to update our facilities because the newer equipment has better energy efficiency. This is why, if you look at this graph, our PUE, power usage effectiveness, has been declining. And by 2021, our PUE had already declined to 1.58. So you can see that this is getting better and better. And I mentioned that our cell towers used 71% of all the power we consumed, IDC 14%, and server rooms 12%. So comparatively, they don't seem to be as important as cell towers in terms of energy reduction. But as I mentioned earlier, every little helps. So we are doing whatever we can. Previous speakers and also Mayor Ke mentioned the importance of smart buildings. This is, of course, very important, especially from an urban planning point of view. Our newest campus is the T Park in Banqiao. We have offices, we also have server rooms and data centers, cloud centers on this campus. And this is not just a smart building, it's also a green building. And it also has very good earthquake resistance qualities. So you can see that on the roof, we have 54 kilowatt of PV capacity. So we have green energy. We also have ventilated walls. What does that mean? If you have visited server rooms, you'll notice that it's always very cold there because the air conditioning is very strong. And usually the bottom is colder, but the top usually is hotter. And from an energy efficiency point of view, this is actually not very good. This is why the newer design uses ventilated walls, and the air conditioning is basically dispersed more evenly within the space. And in Taipei, sometimes it can also be very cold in winter. So we don't always have to use artificial air conditioning to cool the room. We can also try to pump in the cold air from outside to cool the room. So these are some of the measures that we've been adopting. And in the T Park, we also recycle the momentum of our elevators because there's always some excess momentum, and that can be recycled and used. We also recycle water resources. For example, the water coming from our air conditioners is actually warm. And usually you have to use electricity to try to cool the water. But now we recycle such water resources and use these resources to flush our toilets and so on. So you can see that we actually have a lot of green designs in our Banqiao T Park. And we also have smart environment control. And from this control center, we can see the energy use in our offices across Taiwan. Now, so I just talked about some of the measures that we adopted within our offices and buildings. But we are also working with outside partners. We use 5G technology and also AI and IoT in order to devise smart solutions. And many of these solutions can also help others to reduce their carbon emissions. So, for example, our EMS, our energy management systems, can help schools reduce their carbon emissions. Now, the government installed air conditioners in a lot of schools in Taiwan. And so there are a total of about 40 classrooms of various sizes. And they use air conditioners, but as their sizes are different, the energy use is different. So we can use the EMS to help them cut energy use by 10%. And we hope that every year we can help these schools reduce carbon emissions by 2,295 tons. And today, I know that the Taoyuan Mayor, Mr. Zheng Wen-Can, is also here in the Smart City exhibition. And they've been working to reduce carbon emissions as well. So in Taoyuan, they have a smart street light project. And 71,000 mercury vapor lamps were replaced by LED lamps. So these street lamps, of course, need to have very high reliability. And we also use AI and big data to predict the use of such LED lamps and also to predict when they need to be maintained. So we've been working with the Taoyuan city government, and when the lamps need to be repaired, our system will know, and we can send personnel to fix the lamps. So we've been working with the Taoyuan city government, and through this initiative, every year we can cut carbon emissions by more than 20,000 tons. So you can see that we have a lot of solutions that can help outside partners, whether they are in the government or in the private sector.
So that amount to carbon that can be absorbed by 63 Da'an Forest Park. I have been talking about our smart building efforts, and Mayor Ko talked about the Nangang social housing projects, and actually we also have the privilege to participate in that project. Well, 3 years ago, I returned to the company, and we, at the time, were refreshing our brand. You are very familiar with our slogan, Far Eastern brings us together. The slogan has been around for more than 20 years. And our chairman has been trying to come up with a new slogan. And the new slogan is that Far Eastern brings us closer to a smarter lifestyle and support everyone further on the sustainability journey. And that is what we want to do. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jing, for sharing with us how carbon reduction can be relevant to every aspect of our life. So next speaker is Ms. Zhao Shuming from E&V Energy Technology. She's going to share with us how the company fulfills their green energy goals. Dr. Hu, fellow speakers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm not going to focus on carbon reduction. I am going to talk about how we fulfill our ESG responsibilities. You know, this is a buzzword. Everybody is talking about ESG. And at my company, we are very lucky in that we are working on the ESG and we are ahead of other companies because this is what we do since day one. Well, I'm Zhao Shuming. I am the president of J&V Energy. We were established in 2016. If you remember, Premier Shen said that the government started to promote PVs and offshore wind in 2016. And that was the year when our company was established because we wanted to respond to the new trend. So why was the company established in the first place? Because we knew this was an irreversible trend. The development of renewables will be a crucial part of the future, and this will contribute to our future generations, to the future of the planet. So we are moving ahead of others. We have been listening to Mr. Lee from the CPC and Ms. Jing from Far Eastern Telecommunications. They started to use PVs. They started to work on green buildings. They started to use green energies. And what do we do at JNV? First, we invest in PVs. We invest in the development of offshore wind. And we would like to enjoy more stabilized renewable grids. So we have been developing our own energy storage systems. So we have been making investments. We have been working on carbon reductions and carbon neutralities. What others can we do? So, of course, we want to reduce our environmental impact. So we have incorporated an element of circular economy, including the recycling of water resources. So water can be recycled and reused. And this not only increases such resource, we can also reduce our environmental impact. And another aspect of our work, like Mayor Ke said, waste treatment would be key, and how do we reuse waste? We can turn them into biomass energy. And also, our company is the first to build a PV plant in a subsidence area in Taiwan. Usually in this area, the land would not be available for any other uses. But now with a PV project like this, the land would be able to be turned into a PV solar station. And after 20 years of rest, maybe the land will be recovered and will be available for other uses. And this is our biggest project in Taiwan. It is an outdoor solar fish farm project in Tainan. And you can see the figures here, how much carbon we can cut per year. You still remember how much carbon the dam park can absorb every year, so you can do the calculation. It's 346 tons per year. I would like to show you a video clip. This is a site in Beimen, Tainan. It is under construction. All the water has been drained, and we have been trying to level the field. So it has to cover 40% of that land with PV panels. Still, that is a fish farm which is going to use smart technologies. Well, you know, a lot of farmers are aging, but the farm industry is still very important for Taiwan. So we would like to attract more young people by using AI, by using technologies, by using data, so that young people are more willing to take over. So you can see there are a lot of young people working on this particular project, and I think that helps us to renovate this traditional industry. And also, traditional wisdom can be passed down to the younger generation. Now, I'm going to address the issue of offshore wind. Actually, if you look at the top 20 best sites for offshore wind, 14 of them are in Taiwan. Well, in the earlier days, all the projects were awarded to foreign companies. However, the government wants to localize this industry. So in the third phase of the government's offshore wind program, Taiwanese companies in the offshore wind industry team up. So in addition to offshore wind, energy storage is important. We experienced power shortages not long ago. So people all care about this issue. And at our company, we also provide energy storage shortages to stabilize the grid so that we won't experience power shortage that often. And also, during night times, there is still energy available. And also, we provide power selling services. I think this is one solution for most corporations who need power. And we are an independent power producer. We have our own power, and we can sell our power to other corporations. This is what distinguishes us from other operators. And I talked about water treatment to reduce environmental impact. And the second part of my presentation is going to focus on our other efforts in ESG. So when we talk about ESG, you probably think of charity works. You donate money to underprivileged people, to people who are struggling financially, to people who can not receive education. So, well, of course, these are elements in our ESG work. We value education very much because the next generation is what we all care about. We want to educate them about carbon emissions, about environmental work. So we work for social causes. We organize a lot of events and programs. We are always thinking about what more we can do. For example, during the pandemic, we provided a lot of COVID supplies. But we are also thinking about how we can incorporate these programs with our daily jobs. So we donated PV installations to, for example, a church in Beimenyu in Tainan. We wanted to encourage them to use green energies. And as they use green energies, they can also share this message with other people at the church. And also, this is a tourist spot in Tainan. And a lot of tourists visit that church, and they saw the signage of our PV installations, and they would take pictures and post it on their Instagram, for example, and that would also be very important for outreach causes. And also in outlying island Lanyu, they experience power shortage a lot. So we also donated a PV system to a local church. And also in Hualien, there is a Pinanaman school. We also worked with this school. So to us, we have such programs in addition to donations. And also another focus of our ESG job is sports. And in this case, it's football or soccer. We want to encourage grassroots sports starting from children. And I think it has a lot to do with our job because we work with solar power, and you also need solar. You need the sun if you want to play sports outside. So it is highly relevant to what we do. We focus a lot on sports education, and we want to link this initiative with what we do in energy. We want to promote the use of renewable energies through the promotion of sports. So at the beginning, we only worked with 6 local communities, but now more than 20 cities and counties worked with us. So at the end of last year, we organized a professional basketball team. So the basketball team attracted a lot of attention. We want to be more creative when it comes to the promotion of renewable energies, and the establishment of a professional basketball team is a part of this effort. So you might want to know what we would like to do in the long term. I think we want to build a platform that provides comprehensive services of renewables, including geothermal, PVs, hydrogen. And in the long run, we would like to tap into markets other than in Taiwan. I think in Taiwan, actually, we have been developing very rapidly when it comes to renewable energy, such as offshore wind. We are ahead of Japan, for example. So we want to fulfill the 2050 net zero goals, and we would like to support other businesses. So what can we do when it comes to collaboration with other businesses? Of course, you're more than welcome to contact us so that we can work together toward the 2050 net zero targets. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
总经理回座。
Thank you, Ms. Zhao, for your presentation. Our next speaker is Mr. Lü Kefu, Senior Vice President of Taiwan Cement Corporation, TCC. He'll talk about how the company cuts carbon emissions and develop innovative green technologies. Let's welcome him. Dear organizers, Ms. Deng, Dr. Hu, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So in my presentation, I'll talk about what my company, Taiwan Cement Corporation, has done in order to achieve carbon neutrality. Greenhouse gases have made climate change even worse. And this is a challenge that none of us can avoid. On this slide, you can see that if it's business as usual, if we don't change, in 2100, the global temperatures will increase by 4.5 degrees Celsius. And if we don't do anything, if it's business as usual, then global temperatures will increase by 3.5 degrees. So we have to do more in order to keep temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably below 1.5 degrees. So as I mentioned, climate change is an issue that is relevant to all of us. We have to work together. So this is a character that our company developed, and this is actually being trademarked. So what we have to do is that we all have to work together in order to reach carbon neutrality. And our company, TCC, Taiwan Cement Corporation, is a green environmental engineering company. We are not only a cement maker. So we have a few key pillars in our operations. We have cement companies, cement factories in China, Portugal, and also in Africa. And we have to not only do more in order to protect the environment, we also have to help local communities. So waste treatment is also a key pillar of our operations. Now, in our waste treatment operations, we are helping society tackle waste problems. At the same time, we can also try to cut carbon emissions by using alternative materials and fuels. And in Hualien, we have a power plant, and currently we are focusing on renewable energy, including PV and wind power, and also geothermal energy and ocean energy. I think you've probably read about what we have done in terms of energy storage. And of course, in the short term, energy storage is a very important aspect for us to achieve energy security. And on this slide, you can see our roadmap to carbon neutrality by 2050. In 2020, we already came up with SBT certified targets. And so our target is to cut 11% of Scope 1 emission by 2025, and also by 32%, this is Scope 2 emissions by 2025. And in Taiwan, we also have to reduce our emission intensity by 31%. And in China, it's a reduction of 20%. So here we have 7 carbon emission reduction strategies. Now, we've been doing carbon capture for 12 years. And while we are reducing carbon emissions, we have also done other things. We have adopted a lot of measures. Now, this is our cement factory 60 years ago. In fact, as recent as 30 years ago, we still emitted gases from our cement plant. That was the case before. But now, you don't see any chimneys in our cement plant. So currently, we only have to deal with the carbon emissions. All the other toxic gases are no longer emitted. Now, this is an aerial view of our Heping mine. So you can see shafts here. There are 3 shafts, which are very long. So a total of 14 kilometers long. And we also have a loading and shipping terminal. So the goods can be shipped from here to Western Taiwan. And this is also how we cut carbon emissions. We use shafts to transport the goods to the terminals. If we used trucks to transport the goods, then we would have higher carbon emissions. So we've been doing this since 25 years ago. Now, this is our 3-in-1 circular economy industrial park. And you can see that this is to transport our cement, but at the same time, it's also a power plant. And this power plant is the world's only coal-fired power station without an ash pond. So this is what I want to show you. And all the ash is used by our cement plant. So this is why this power plant doesn't need an ash pond. Now you can also see that our kiln is very, very special in terms of its design. The advantage of our kiln is that usually a kiln it has to use very high heat. It has a high level of turbulence. It also has a high retention time. But you can see that usually you will have to deal with a lot of waste. And this is why we have to design our kiln in a way that our waste will not cause any environmental hazard. So here you can take a look at our manufacturing process. Now, so it's this one on the left is a preheater. It's about 110 meters high. And the temperature here is very high, about 300 degrees. And right here is more than 1,000 degrees. And here is 1,450 degrees. So here, basically, we can use the high temperature and also the high retention time to try to eliminate dioxin. Last year in 2021, our company treated 1.14 million tons of waste, including slag from steel making. We also helped semiconductor fabs deal with their waste. Now, this one. So 2 years ago, the environmental impact assessment for this Dhaka recycling center was approved. And we would use this center to deal with domestic waste. So this is going to help the local community. And on this slide, you can see our CCS carbon capture and storage project. So in 2011, we participated in a Bureau of Energy project, and we worked with ITRI on a CO2 capture through calcium looping project. So what we are doing now is that we hope to capture CO2 during the combustion process. So I think compared to our peers internationally, we are in fact ahead in terms of carbon capture. And here on this slide, you can see that there are about a dozen factories on this dashboard. And on this dashboard, we can see real-time data from these factories. And in our Suao factory, they are already able to reduce carbon emissions by 19.3% relative to the 2016 level. So it's actually ahead of our own targets. And we are going to set higher targets going forward. So in addition to the above measures, we are also seeking certification and really take inventory of our carbon emission reduction. So here you can see that we have a label, carbon footprint reduction label. So we have 2 factories that were able to cut carbon emissions by 3% within 1 year. And this is why we were awarded by the EPA. And we are able to use the carbon footprint reduction label. We are also ISO 46001 certified, which means that our water efficiency management is good. And of course, we have to do more. 60% of our carbon emissions do not come from energy consumption. So even if we don't use any power, we still have to deal with a lot of carbon emissions. And this is why we are also working on green energy. And you can see that we have offshore wind turbines. We are also using geothermal power, although currently the installed capacity is not yet very high. And we are also working on energy storage. So in terms of PV and wind power, currently is less than 200 megawatts. But we are also working on other technologies. Now, of course, PV yield is reduced after sunset, so we also have to use other technologies. And in Changhua, we have wind turbines, and we also have a pavilion that can raise people's awareness about green energy, and they can learn why green energy is so important. Now, this is our first AFC system. AFC means automatic frequency control. So when the power input is lower, then the system can make adjustments. And whenever possible, we also install rooftop solar power systems in our factories. And this is another project, which is a fish solar farm in Jiayi in southern Taiwan. Now, we have to work with fish farmers. And of course, an overproduction will cause prices to crash. So we have to strike a balance. And here we are working in Taidong in eastern Taiwan. And this area is rich in hot spring resources. So we are working on geothermal wells in this region. In addition, also in Heping, near our power station, this is in eastern Taiwan. Now, in eastern Taiwan, the underwater slopes are very steep. So we are also using such a property to try to develop ocean thermal energy conversion technology, OTEC. So here we drill wells. So around 20 to 30, when it's about 20 to 30 meters deep, we also have these pipes. And at about 600 meters, we draw cold water. And then there's an exchange of water of different temperatures. So when it's completed, it will become the world's first megawatt class power plant, OTEC power plant. So what is good about it is that it can work 24 hours a day, unlike PV technology, which might be more restricted.
In addition to power storage, we also work on charging stations powered by green energies. This is also a photo taken from our Dhaka park, and it is powered by green energies, and installation art powered by green energies. So we have been working on green energies such as geothermal in local communities, and of course, we would like to work with local people on regional renovation to offer jobs to young people so that they are willing to come back to their hometowns. And we also want our projects to be welcomed by local people. So in this photo, it is right next to the highway. It is totally run by the private sector, by us. And there are convenience stores and Starbucks, and all the revenues coming from these businesses will go into the local communities. This is a convenience store, a 7-Eleven, and there's a Starbucks. And there is a small shopping center for local people to sell their products. These shops also attract tourists to come and buy their products. So this is an open space of a circular economy-based factory, and we also hope that it will be an exemplary project internationally. And we've been working with local people, and local people can take their kitchen waste and turn the waste into compost and take this compost home. And there is a DIY workshops of cement so that people can know more about what cement can do. I think carbon neutrality is our ultimate goal. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Please return to your seat. We've listened to speeches by 4 speakers from different Taiwanese businesses. They are all working hard toward the goal of carbon neutrality by 2050. This is announced by President Tsai, and also the National Development Council is going to report on carbon neutrality. This is going to be a roadmap for Taiwan to move toward carbon neutrality, and it is going to encourage dialogues among all stakeholders. And President Tsai also instructed the National Development Council to include all necessary elements into this roadmap. In addition to government efforts, the efforts from the private sector is going to be crucial. And as global companies work toward carbon reduction, what do we have to focus on? So I think this is what we have been all looking forward to. We are going to proceed to our panel discussion. So Mr. Li Zhunqing, President of the CPC, Ms. Jing Qi, President of the Far Eastern Telecommunication, Ms. Zhao Shuming, General Manager of JNV Energy Technology, and Mr. Lu Kefu, Senior Vice President of Taiwan Cement Corporation. And this panel is going to be moderated by Dr. Hu from the US TV. We're going to take a group photo for this important moment. Please look at the camera in the front. Camera in the front. Please take off your surgical masks. Look at the cameras and mobile phones in the front. Thumbs up. 3, 2, 1. Another shot. Thank you. Please return to your seats. Now, I'm passing the microphone to the moderator of the session, Dr. Christine Hu from the US TV. Thank you. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I've been listening to a lot of wonderful presentations. I've been listening to the key note speeches as well as the opening remarks. Well, I have prepared a lot of questions for you, and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the questions. The first question is for Mr. Li from the CPC. You talked about hydrogen. You said you wanted it to be a provider of hydrogen to electrolyze ocean water. And hydrogen will play an important role in the mix of green energies. So what is your output in terms of hydrogen? And personally, what will be the applications of hydrogen? Will the applications expand in the future? Thank you, Dr. Hu, our beautiful moderator. At the CPC, we are producing hydrogen in our Dalian refinery and in our refinery in Taoyuan. We are producing hydrogen, and there are also byproducts of hydrogen in our factories. They are only used in our production line because we need to add hydrogen to desulfurized oils. I talked about CCUS. To turn gray hydrogen into blue hydrogen. And this, I think, will be an important model. Well, Japan is ahead of Taiwan when it comes to liquefied natural gas. They started in 10 years ago. And actually, last year, they have a ship that contains 1,250 cubic meters of liquefied natural gas, and the gas actually comes from Australia, from Victoria Port, where brown carbon was turned into hydrogen. And I think in the future, we're also going to work on electrolyzed hydrogen to produce green hydrogen using green energies. So I think we are going to follow Japan's model of liquefied natural gas. They have a pilot project with Australia, so 150 cubic meters of LNG. And actually, it's quite small because usually it's about 150,000 cubic meters when it comes to liquefied natural gas. So I think this is going to expand in Taiwan. And if we want to move toward carbon neutrality, so as a leader in the industry, the CPC has been looking at this model. Well, I think it's surprising to learn that you can use green energies to produce green hydrogen. I think this is a positive development. The next question is for Ms. Jing from Far Eastern Telecommunications. You've been asking me to ask this question. You experience industry consolidation because you wanted to acquire Asia Pacific Telecommunication. Well, this is a very important news about industry consolidation, and actually it plays an important role in your ESG program. I didn't ask you to ask me this question, but it is an important part. So, like I said, if I can build 3,000 less base stations, I can decrease carbon emissions. So we have more than 10,000 base stations across Taiwan. And if we can work together with Asia Pacific Telecommunications, if we can consolidate with them, we no longer need to build more base stations, and we actually share the same frequency spectrum, so we can use the same equipment. So we have one set of equipment, but we double the amount of spectrums, so that is going to be even more efficient. Well, speaking of equipment, that includes base stations, and also you talked about smart street lights, and you can incorporate that experience. So your base stations are going to be combined with street lights. So we have more than 1,400 towers, but there are also small cells, which are really small. If you look at examples in mainland China, they have a lot of small cells. But these are not available in Taiwan yet. So we have been working on this new project. So there are our SIM cards in the smart street lamps. So within those poles, we can install not only SIM cards, but also smart sensors, pollution sensors, noise sensors for smarter applications. So you have to be more careful about street lamps, because when you pass by and there might be speed cameras there. So all the smart applications will be installed in smart lights, lamps, street lamps. So you're going to receive a speed tickets. The next question is Ms. Zhao from JNVE. When I was listening to your presentation, I learned that you are also a seller of green energy, and you have a platform for green energy trades. So if a company wishes to buy green energy, they can go to your platform. So this is a one-stop shop. So there are going to be a lot of details involved, and if everything goes smoothly, you can help SMEs. So how can you help SMEs by providing this one-stop shop of green energy selling and buying? Is the sound okay? Okay. So today, we have seen the determination of the CPC and Taiwan Cement and Far Eastern Telecommunication. But these are rare examples. However, for SMEs, they also want to do something, but what they can do is probably limited to buying green energies. But I have to tell you, it's not easy to sell green energies. Well, when it comes to PV, the Thai Power Company has a feed-in tariff program. So most PV producers sell their energy to Thai Power Company. The price has been decreasing. However, it's still more expensive than buying power from the grid. So if there is no regulations asking them to do so, there is very little incentive for businesses to buy green energies because they have to spend more. So this is going to create an issue. Even if businesses are required to buy green energies, they cannot find sellers. So that is a gap between suppliers and customers. So they can come to our platform and tell us what they need, and we can customize a solution for them to find sellers for them. So we provide a wide varieties of renewable energies. We provide an energy mix that can reduce costs for them. And this includes all kinds of renewables such as hydrogen, or ocean power, geothermal, so that we can stabilize power supply for people who need to purchase power, so that businesses can reach their carbon neutrality goals. Ms. Zhao said that actually 99% of our green energy certificates are bought by the TSMC. So a lot of other businesses do not know where they can buy green energies. So they can go to you and you can find green energies for them. So please visit our official website and there is information about our contact point. You're more than welcome to contact us. We will try our best to provide green energies to you. I know there are a lot of SME customers in the audience.
Right. My next question is for the Vice President of Taiwan Cement Corporation. So you also mentioned a solar fish farm, which is like an integration project. So are you working on such projects on your own, or are you also working with others? I think that this kind of integration can thrive in southern Taiwan. Well, currently we are pushing these projects in Jiayi in southern Taiwan, and we have 2 phases in Budai in Jiayi, and we are also going to integrate PV panels with indoor fish farms. And in Tainan, I think there are also potential sites. So I believe that these projects can provide green energy to SMEs. And for us, more importantly, such projects will also help us cut carbon emissions. So we'll try to promote such projects. If we talk about PV solar farms, now, if I remember right, so fish farms, I mean, in the past, of course, a lot of old people, a lot of fish farmers would say that it's not easy operating fish farms because you have to think about the temperature, you have to think about the health of the fish. But if you have such project, can you also use smart technologies? Yes, we work with aquaculture experts, and they can also help fish farmers. They also buy from fish farmers so that they will not be vulnerable to market fluctuations. Now, I don't know whether you heard this. So AI and AI technology is also used in fish farms, and PV fish farms are basically a combination of aquaculture and smart technology and green energy. Now, our overarching theme today is carbon neutrality. Now, if you don't know where your carbon emissions are, how do you neutralize your emissions? So I have a question for you. Now, let's say I produce this microphone. Whether I produce 99 tons or 10,000 tons of carbon, I don't know. So how do I take inventory of carbon emissions? Indeed, you have to see how much carbon your products generate. We have to use international standards. Now, if you don't use international standards, then you will not be able to trade carbon credits. So we have a lot of companies here that can help you take inventory of your carbon emissions. And all companies have to first know how much carbon it generates. It has to know which link of the process generates more carbon, and then they can start from there. So inventory taking of carbon emissions, do you need a lot of equipment? No, it's actually about a regime. It starts from the raw materials that you use. It also has to do with the energy you use. So, for example, we have the so-called Scope 3 emissions. All these elements will have to be taken into account. Right. So basically, you have to take inventory to know the total volume of carbon emissions that you generate. Now, I'd like to go back to Mr. Lee from CPC. So you mentioned your smart petrol stations. So in the future, when we go to CPC petrol stations, we can also get hydrogen. Is that the case? Well, I have to say that as CPC, we have to anticipate a future where petrol is not used. So in 2018, we started to build a new type of station. Last year, we already had 770 charging stations, but they are for electric scooters. Now, more and more people are buying electric cars. So on the 27th of December last year, we also installed charging stations for Teslas and other electric cars. You only need 15 minutes to charge up your cars. So it's very fast. You can go to our charging station. You can also go to our cafe and have a very nice cup of coffee. 15 minutes. Do you have to pay for your coffee? Yes, but it's really very good value. Our coffee is definitely better than Starbucks and also cheaper than Starbucks. So we have charging stations. And what about our hydrogen refueling stations? There are a lot of charging stations, including in buildings. But these are not fast charging stations. We are working on fast charging stations. We want to have 1,000 charging stations. And in the future, hydrogen will be more widely used. But of course, in terms of safety, I think you have to do more if you want to set up a hydrogen refueling station. As I mentioned earlier, by the end of last year, we had already completed some assessments for hydrogen refueling stations. And in the future, we'll also have LPG stations, which has a higher pressure. And we'll also have mobile hydrogen refueling stations. So in the future, we will provide not only petrol, but also hydrogen, but of course, a very nice cup of coffee as well. And we have charging stations. So in the petrol-free world, we'll still play a role. So perhaps if people pay more than $100, you can give them a free cup of coffee. How about that? Well, in Hsinchu, we already have fast charging poles. And by 2025, we will have 59 fast charging poles in 19 stations. Right, so when you get free coffee, you have to remember me. It's because I suggested this to CBC, okay? Right, my next question is for Ms. Jing from Far East Home. I have to tell you that I've been using your company service for more than 30 years. So you said that you are also focusing on ESG, and you also adopted many measures. So I've been using your company service for 30 years, and I didn't know that, in fact, for 3 years in a row, your company has been awarded a silver class distinction by the S&P Global Sustainability Yearbook, and more than 7,500 companies around the world are assessed. So it's really not easy to get a silver class distinction, and you actually won the distinction for 3 years in a row. So why does your company stand out? Well, when my company personnel talk about CSR, they tell me what awards that we get, but I would tell them that perhaps you should tell me what we have done. So, of course, we are very happy to be recognized with an award, but what is even more important is to understand what we are doing. So I mentioned that we've been doing a lot to improve our IDCs, our server rooms. Basically, we have to improve our facilities. We have a lot of engineers with PhD degrees, and they've been working on R&D. So they are not doing this just to win awards. They are doing this because they want to do more. I guess this is part of our corporate culture. We encourage innovation. So I think this takes years of work. And in terms of green energy purchase, of course, we have to buy green energy as well. Now, we are an energy consumer. But as an energy consumer, we can also do our part to cut carbon emissions. So we use AI, big data, and IoT. I think these are our strengths. We can use our strengths. We can use these technologies to help us do more to cut carbon emissions and also to save energy. And in addition, we can also share our solutions with others. So we are not working within the we're not just only working within the company, we are also working with other partners so that everybody can do their part to cut carbon emissions. And I am also very happy that our people in the company can also continue to do more. Of course, we are very happy to win awards, but we are even happier to be able to do our part. Now, Ms. Jing mentioned many times that we have to use AI, big data, and IoT, three key technologies. You've been mentioning these three technologies again and again. So without using these digital technologies, perhaps you are not able to make so much progress in terms of ESG. My next question is for Ms. Zhao from JMV. So people are talking about the importance of green energy, including PV and other energies as well. But of course, recently in Taiwan, we had a very widespread blackout. So storage, energy storage is very important as well. So for you, what kind of role does energy storage play in the development of green energy? What kind of role does your company play? Now, renewable energy, in Taiwan, we have a lot of PV. And of course, we are also working on geothermal power and wind power. These two are available 24 hours a day, but currently the mainstay of our renewable energy is PV. So PV output is of course restricted at night, or when the weather is not good, then PV output will be reduced. And also in the middle of the day, when the sun is very harsh, PV panels generate a lot of power. Now, this is when energy storage comes in handy. When there's excess power, the power can be stored to be used when we are in off-peak hours. So what we are doing is that we have our own energy storage plants. We also provide service to others. If you're interested in building energy storage facilities, you can also come to us. And Thai Power Company is also working on energy storage, and they've been working with us as well. We are working on a very big energy storage facility. And I think energy storage still has room to develop. And Thai Power Company hopes to have 1 gigawatt of energy storage facility, and we still have to do a lot. Now, if SMEs don't know how to build energy storage facilities, they can come to you, right? Indeed, we are an integrator. We provide all sorts of services. And also, we have to use new systems. And so our facility has to be certified before it can go online. So it's very important to work with credible companies. Right, so in Jiayi, And you also talked about energy storage and hydrogen. Now, I have one more question for Mr. Liu. We talked about carbon neutrality, and we also talked about the importance of inventory taking. Now, let's say we know how much carbon we generate. Now, my question for you is that about more than 10 years ago, Taiwan Cement Corporation started to work on carbon emissions. So, how do you achieve carbon emission reduction?
Our company has been working on carbon reduction, energy efficiency, green energies. So that is one element. Green energy is one element. And for the rest that cannot be neutralized, we rely on carbon capture. And one important thing is to promote this across the company. We are all a member of the earth, and no one can avoid this challenge. That includes everyone in our company. So these important information is all available on the dashboards of our war room. And our employees are aware of what their mission is, that is to reduce carbon. So as a businesses, we want to do more than making profits. Actually, we shouldn't wait until 2050. By 2040, we will need to reach certain targets. And that is what we have been doing at Taiwan Corporation. So also, these ideas should be promoted not to people in our company, but should be promoted to people in the society. And people should know that this can bring a lot of business opportunities. And indeed, we have been listening to the speeches from the very beginning, and we should know that carbon neutrality, carbon reduction are not empty slogans. If you don't do this, you will lose your business opportunities. Like I said at the beginning, no ESG, no business. So I hope you have a lot to take home from today's sessions. I would like to give you a brief summary. First, why do we have to work on ESG? It is a major investment trend. There are so many financial products about ESGs, and investment in ESG has been doubling and tripling. So this week, I'm going to talk about ESG ETF in my show. And also the CPC. Well, they're not listed, but the rest three companies are listed. 101, Taiwan Cement. JNV is 6869. That's their code. And Far Eastern Telecommunication, I've been your subscriber for more than 30 years. 4904. This is the code of Far Eastern Telecommunication. Well, we have been talking about carbon neutrality. I think this is going to be reflected in the stock markets. So once again, carbon neutrality is more than a slogan. It is a future trend that every company has to work on, and this is going to bring a lot of business opportunities. So I hope that you will have a lot to win. You will win a lot of, take home a lot of profits in your job toward carbon neutrality. Thank you, Dr. Hu. I think through this forum, we have learned that carbon neutrality is not just the state's goals. It is highly relevant to all businesses and all individuals. So this marks the end of today's forum. Let us work together towards carbon neutrality and contribute to the earth.